Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Our whole thing here is, well, pretty simple. We take a bunch of source material, dig through it, and pull out the really key insights. Basically, give you a shortcut to being properly informed on some fascinating topics.
Yeah, getting you up to speed quickly.
Exactly. And today we're diving deep into Charlotte McConaghy's novel, Wild Dark Shore. We're using a review as our main source here. And our mission, if you like, is to figure out why this book, according to the source, is such a must-read if you're into those really atmospheric, kind of thoughtful stories.
Right. The ones that stick with you.
Totally. Okay, so let's try and paint a picture. Imagine this. You've got this remote island. Yeah. It's all misty. And the line between, I guess, the civilized world and just pure wilderness. It's really blurry.
Okay.
It's a place where, the past is always kind of lurking, haunting the present.
Yeah, and
Survival.
it's not just about staying alive physically, it's psychological too.
That internal struggle. Exactly. Yeah. That's the world McConaghy builds in Wild Dark Shore. The source describes it as, like, part gripping thriller, part really haunting character study. It sounds incredibly captivating, doesn't it?
It really does. And our source material, the review, it really stresses how this book is almost like a masterclass in blending setting, character, and theme.
Okay.
It highlights it as, a top example of how a story can be super immersive and powerful, which fits perfectly with what we're doing here, helping you get that deep understanding quickly by looking at how the source says those elements connect.
Absolutely. So let's talk setting. Literally. The story happens on Blackthorn Island, which, even name sounds symbolic,
Oh,
right?
it does, yeah.
Feels heavy.
It's basically the Wild Dark Shore itself. It's this fictional place where the sea is both essential for life, but also this constant danger. And the island's isolation, it really mirrors the emotional walls the characters put up.
McConaghy, she also wrote The Last Migration, which was huge. She's apparently brilliant at using setting almost like a character. So here, the island isn't just scenery. It's like a pressure cooker, ramping up all the tension in the story.
Right. The review definitely picked up on that. It said Blackthorn isn't just a backdrop, it's an active force. Did the source give specifics on how she pulls that off? Like, how she creates that claustrophobic feel beyond just general atmosphere? Does it mention, say, details of daily life or the environment itself making things tense?
That's a good question. The source hints at it, mentioning the oppressive weather, the treacherous landscape, suggesting these aren't just descriptive details, but active obstacles that amplify everything the characters go through.
Okay, so it's woven right into the plot challenges.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then at the center of it all is Mara. She's a scientist, and on the surface, she's there studying the island's wolves.
Okay, wolves. Interesting.
But this is where it gets really juicy. That's just her cover story. She's actually there to find out what happened to her mother, who vanished decades ago. And that mystery is all tangled up with the island's own dark secrets.
So a personal quest hidden within a scientific one.
Totally. And what makes Mara so compelling, according to the source, is this duality. She's scientific, rational, but also deeply haunted. She's empathetic, but also really, really guarded. McConaghy gives us more than just a protagonist. It's like looking in a mirror, making you think about your own resilience, maybe your own secrets.
Yeah, the source definitely emphasized Mara's complexity, described her as, like you said, analytical, but also carrying this huge weight from her past. Did the review give a sense of which side wins out, her scientific side or the personal mission? Or is it that constant back and forth, that tension that actually drives her whole story?
It seems like it's the tension itself that's key. The review suggests that unresolved conflict is the engine of her character arc. Thinking about Blackthorn Island again, that haunting feeling. The source actually shared a cool detail. McConaghy apparently got inspiration from real remote places.
Oh, really?
Yeah, specifically mentioned the kind of isolated, eerie beauty of the Hebrides to make Blackthorn feel real. The review suggests that grounding it in reality is why the island feels so genuinely unsettling, not just made up.
That makes sense. It gives it that authentic chill.
And those wolves Mara's supposedly studying, the review points out they're not just animals in the background. They're this powerful symbol of, the wildness inside us, the stuff we try to keep hidden or maybe sometimes let loose.
That's a really sharp observation from the source. It noted McConaghy doesn't just make them symbolic vaguely, but their actual physical presence on the island is almost shown as mirroring Mara's own internal battles. Yeah, blurring that line between what's real outside and what's turmoil inside. The source suggests it's a pretty sophisticated way to use imagery, makes a whole story deeper.
Okay, so let's shift gears slightly to themes and pacing. The source is clear. This isn't some breakneck thriller. It's described as a slow burn.
Right. Builds gradually.
Yeah, building tension like a storm rolling in. The novel uses two timelines, Mara's investigation now, woven with journal entries from the 1980s, which apparently adds these incredible layers of suspense.
Ah, the dual timeline. Always effective for mystery.
Definitely. Now, some people, might find the pacing a bit deliberate, and the source acknowledges that, but it argues that's kind of the point. McConaghy makes us really sit with the characters, feel their isolation, so when the secrets finally do unravel, it feels, earned and pretty devastating.
Yeah, the review really pushes that idea that the deliberate pace isn't just style. It's crucial for those revelations to land properly, to feel earned. Did it say more about how the dual timeline helps with that? Like, does it build dread? Or is it more about slowly giving the reader pieces of a puzzle?
It suggests it does both, actually. The past entries create this sense of foreboding because you know something bad happened, while the present investigation slowly gathers the clues, connecting the dots for both Mara and the reader.
Okay, makes sense. You're uncovering it alongside her.
Exactly. And the other islanders, there's this fascinating bunch. You've got outsiders, people who've lived there forever, and every single one seems to be hiding something, some old wound.
A closed community vibe?
Totally. Characters like Elias, this reclusive boatman who just knows how to survive out there, and Lena, an older woman who's fierce about protecting her family's secrets. Their interactions are described as having this great mix of, suspicion but also reluctant connection. But the real tension, as the source keeps circling back to, is inside Mara. Can she deal with her past, or is she going to get trapped by it on this island?
The source painted the islanders almost like reflections, mirroring Mara's own guarded nature and her hidden past. Did the review highlight any specific character or interaction that really pushes Mara? Someone who forces her to confront why she's really there, breaking through her defenses?
It mentions Elias, the boatman, as someone whose quiet knowledge of the island and its secrets implicitly challenges Mara. And Lena, the elder, apparently forces some direct, uncomfortable confrontations about the past. So yeah, they definitely don't let her stay hidden in her research.
Gotcha. They draw her out.
Yeah. Now, just a heads up so you know what you're getting into. If you absolutely need nonstop action from the get-go, the source suggests this might not be for you.
Fair warning.
McConaghy's writing is described as lush and introspective. It really focuses on mood and atmosphere more than constant plot twists. But if you love complex characters and settings that feel incredibly real and, atmospheric, think maybe The Silent Patient meets The Bear and the Nightingale.
Ooh, interesting comparison.
Yeah. If that sounds like your thing, the source basically says this book is a total win, and the ending, described as bittersweet and haunting. Much like the island itself, I suppose.
Yeah, the review was pretty targeted about the ideal reader. It's for people who really enjoy that slow peeling back of layers, both in character and atmosphere, rather than needing constant plot movement. It even highlighted the prose, the writing itself, as a major plus.
Right.
Saying McConaghy's writing pulls you in on this deeper, almost physical level, making that slow burn feel really worthwhile in the end.
So, bottom line for you listening, if you were a fan of, say, The Girl with the Louding Voice or Where the Crawdads Sing, those stories that really blend the beauty of nature with its harsh realities.
Yeah, that raw edge.
Then Wild Dark Shore should absolutely be next on your list. The source makes it clear. It's not just reading a story, it's more like having an experience.
Definitely. And the book, as the review puts it, kind of reminds us that sometimes the toughest, wildest shores we have to deal with are the ones inside us.
That's a great way to put it.
It points to those internal struggles, the personal histories everyone carries, and how those inner landscapes can be just as challenging, just as isolating as any real remote island.
So Charlotte McConaghy's Wild Dark Shore is out now. The source strongly recommends picking it up if you're ready to just, lose yourself in a world where secrets feel like they're lurking everywhere and the characters' journeys feel incredibly real, maybe even painfully so.
Yeah. And maybe something to chew on after reading it, or even just based on our chat. Considering how the book focuses on digging up these really deep mysteries and how symbolic that isolated island is, what truths about ourselves do we tend to keep hidden away on our own internal wild, dark shores, and what might it actually take to bring those things into the light?
Ooh, that's a deep one to end on.
Well, seems fitting for the book.
It really does.
Yeah.
Lots to think about there.